Yo, 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 welcome to the show. Welcome to the Social Sunshine Podcast, episode 218. I'm your hostess, Brittany Crossan. Welcome back to another episode. Thank you so much for being here. Today, we're going to dig deep, y'all. And if you don't want to dig deep today, if it's not the day for that for you, then maybe you should listen to this episode another day. But if you are in the mood to do some deep digging as a small business owner, you're in luck because I want to talk with you about the heart of a small business owner, about all the feelings and the things that come along with being a small business owner, and also how we can use our positions and our perspective as a small business owner to our advantage on social media. And it's a really special situation. And I know a lot of you that listen are small business owners like I am. I own a company called Fun Love Media. We are a social media and podcasting agency here in Houston, Texas. And I love it. And it's fucking personal. It's not just business, it's personal. That's one big thing, right? Is that, yeah, you can recognize, technically it's business, but it hits hard. It's your creation. It's your small business. And it's such an emotional thing to be a small business owner. I grew up with a small business owner dad. He still owns Signal Electronics in Freeport, Texas to this day. It's as I'm recording this, it's fall of 2023. So he's still trucking along. He and my older brother Zach run the business, and I worked in the business for more than 20 years. I started when I was a teenager. I was 16 when I first started working at Signal Electronics. And you may have heard me say before that it's just the best business owner education I could have ever gotten. Honestly, I didn't finish college, but I'm going to venture to guess, and also based upon data I've collected over the years, that it taught me things that school couldn't teach me. And I really value that experience. And it wasn't always easy. And it was, witnessing my dad through the ups, but especially the downs. It was hard to see him going through that. And even though I worked there, and my brother and any other employees that were, have been, special people to be working there over the years, you're still not the owner. And there's this thing that is inside of you when you are actually the small business owner. And it's hard to articulate sometimes. And it's a real bonding thing between a lot of us business owners. And it's just been a year, 2023 for me. It's just been a year. I should have just stopped there. It's just been a fucking year. It's been an interesting year for me as a small business owner. I'm wondering if you've had a similar experience in 2023, if it's like something going around or something with the stars and the alignments and whatnot, or misalignments. But I was talking to my team member, Megan, the other day about it. And I was like, it's been the most productive year at Fun Love Media, but also the most stressful year at Fun Love Media. And those two things are simultaneously true. And isn't that crazy to think that? It's not just one or the other. It's like almost never one or the other, right? Like so very little is just black and white. We're all up in the gray area all the time in life, but especially as a small business owner. And both of those things, that it being a stressful year and a really productive year, are completely true. And it's also been a year of really high emotions for me as a small business owner. And I wanted to speak to that because I know a lot of you are small business owners, and I hope that this is comforting to have this conversation together. Because we have to remember that we're not alone, that there are other people out there that are small business owners and that understand our experiences. But also I want to end up explaining to you how we can use this to our advantage on social media, which of course, we talk a lot about social media here, but the emotions have been really high this year in my company. And it's for a variety of reasons. Like we literally don't have enough time to talk about all of the things. But there's been just all the things that could happen to a small business in a year. It just happened. It seems like, so, high highs and low lows, excitement over new work and projects and clients, and then loss of work and projects and clients, aka money. It's been also, though, me witnessing emotional times in our clients' businesses. That's been interesting, and I've tried to soak that in, when you can learn a lot from your clients, basically. So if you, like us, if you deal with mostly businesses are our clients, then you, as a business owner, can really learn from each other and try to take advantage of that, because it's such a cool opportunity. Like you have a perspective of their business, and you have a peek behind the curtain as like one of their service providers, whatever you do in your business, So with us, when we are hired as the, organic marketing agency, the content creators for a business, we have to kind of get in deep sometimes, right? We got to learn things about them and their business, and sometimes things aren't going so great for them. They go through hard times just like all the rest of us do. And so I've really noticed that while we kind of have to, in a way, be like me, my business, right? As small business owners, we have to protect that. It feeds our families. It's fucking important. While we have to watch out for number one and all that, we have to remember to keep our eyes and hearts open to learn from others, and to see that others are also going through shit in their businesses. It's just inevitable. It's just a part of the ride, yo. Like it's not going to be super peaceful all the time. So like, if you're listening to this to see if you want to start a small business, this is a really great episode for you to hear, because I'm being very real and open with you about the hard times and the great times. But I don't know. I'm just curious to know if you're watching this on YouTube, or, leave a comment and let me know, has it been a wild year in your business? If you're listening, write into the show, write us a DM on Instagram or any of the social media platforms. We want to hear from you, because I really want to get that feedback and understand what everybody's been going through this year. It's been crazy, but the heart of a small business owner is a special one. And it's something that kind of just happens, or kind of just evolves and progresses naturally because of the territory. You may start a small business, and when I say small, a small business technically can get to be huge. Like I think it's like considered a small business until you have like over 200 employees or something. So I'm not talking about just only like a 2-person operation. I'm talking about, privately owned businesses. All right. But when you decide to get into that, you, just like a lot of things, you go in with this like passion and drive, and this like, you're wanting to solve this problem, or you're wanting to provide for your family, or you're wanting to employ people to provide for their families. You've got like this heart behind it already. It's already gonna be there. But it actually over time progresses, and the heart of it all, the emotion of it all, just heightens and heightens and heightens, because like I said, it's just inevitable. It comes with the territory. If you don't get emotional about the small business that you own, you might be a robot. It's hard, but it's beautiful at the same fucking time. But the best things in life are hard and beautiful at the same time, right? And I think that we have this, I know that we have this really incredible advantage as small business owners, independently owned businesses, where we can share our stories in our social media content and our everywhere online content and touch people in a way that a big bad corporation can't. Now, look, this is not a hate on corporate America episode because there's a place for everything. And I think that I may not want to work in that environment, and I would probably be a shitty employee because I like to do things the way that I like to do them, which is, you probably relate as a business owner listening to this episode. But there's a place for that, and that's cool. That's a totally different conversation. So I'm not here to bash that. I'm just trying to focus on the advantages we have as the smaller business owners. And when we are willing to and do share our stories online, we can make such a strong impact, and we can do things, like I said, that the big dogs can't. So if you're wondering what I mean by share your story on social media when it comes to being a small business owner, what I mean is not necessarily just sitting and talking to the camera and telling the whole fucking story of your business and it'd be like a 28-minute long video and putting that on social media. That's not what I mean. You got to be a little strategic about it. You also got to think about the fact that, like, right now, as of fall 2023, shorter videos are still the most effective. I mean, even if a video is a couple minutes long, they don't have to be 10 seconds long, but you know what I mean? Like, shorter things, people have a shorter attention span. So you have to consider that when you're making this content. You don't want to just draw it all out into one long video. But, you know your story as a small business owner, and you know the emotions, and the things you've been through, what inspired you to start your business, why you do what you do. You maybe you didn't know really why to begin with, but then you found out later through the natural evolution of the business, and you have stories of interactions with you and clients and things that you've helped them with, and special moments and hard moments and all the things. That's really all a part of your story. You have your base foundation story. And if you've ever learned anything about branding, you can literally write it out. Like, you could write a little, a paragraph that's kind of a summary of your business's story, like why it started, how you got there, how it's going, that kind of thing. But there's so much more to it, right? And with social media content, since we need to be like sharing multiple times a week, every week until the end of fucking time, we need content anyway. So why not share these tidbits in your content? There's different ways to do it. If you're great at talking on camera, talk about it. Tell little stories, little snippets that are like less than a minute long, and then you've got tons of videos to share that's about your business. And if you're better at writing, then maybe you want to write out a longer caption to tell a story, a couple paragraphs, and include some photos that kind of go along with it. That's fine too. If you're a podcaster, tell little bits of the stories in your podcast. I mean, I've done that already today in this episode without going on and on and on. You already learned parts of my story as a small business owner, the business that I own, the one that I was raised in. You know what I mean? And that's part of my story. And what it does when we share stories, it's connecting us as humans in a way that other things really can't do. And people remember stories more than they remember, any other fact or stat or number or, whatever about your business. Like, they're going to remember the stories more. And it helps them also use their imagination, just like reading a book, right? So if you're telling a story, they might can imagine what that was like when that happened to you, or when you started your business and it was so tough because you had to do this and that and this and that. And like, they can really envision that and also probably relate to it. And what it's going to ultimately do for you, sharing your heart, the heart of a small business owner on social media, is it's going to, it's probably going to feel a little bit like therapy. So that's an advantage. It's going to feel good probably to get that shit out, and to really share it with the world. But it's going to, honestly though, it's going to help others. It's going to impact people in a good way. And that's a huge thing for me. And what we do at Fun Love Media is we, want to make a positive impact on the world through our content. So, that's what you're going to do by doing this. You're going to help other small business owners, but for your actual business and your bottom line and your revenue, you're also going to help people form a deeper connection with your business and with you as the business owner. And people really, really love to support businesses and people that they are connected with, that they feel like they know, that they trust. It's such a cool feeling whenever, you met the owner of such and such business, right? Like, doesn't it make that business stand out? And if you learned a little bit about them and their backstory, doesn't that make it stand out and kind of makes it more top of mind for you? Like, I know, what inspired him to start his plumbing business. Why do I use plumbing businesses as examples all the time? I do not know. But start his plumbing business and how hard he worked and how much he cares for his community and helping people in their homes and and like if they've learned all of this about you and your freaking plumbing business and your story, and that's so cool. They're going to want to work with you, not the stranger that they don't know jack shit about. It really makes a big difference. But again, you're also helping make a positive impact on the world simultaneously. So, I mean, win, 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 win in all directions. Now, if you're worried about like how to share this, or if it makes you nervous to share more story type stuff rather than just businessy buy our shit kind of content, look, it does take time to get better at being vulnerable on social media, whether you're on camera or you're not. It does take time, and it is going to take some practice. It's just that it's one of those things that you have to practice in front of the world, right? Like, you just need to like post something and start to learn from what you're doing and continue to improve the content. But you might just have some general boundaries for yourself. Like, we do want to be real and we want to be honest with our audiences and with our clients, but we also there's some things people don't need to know, so maybe you skip those little details. You know what I mean? If it doesn't really contribute to the effort and to impacting others in a positive way, and it's just some sort of nasty detail, maybe we'll leave those out. So definitely try to form some boundaries for yourself, and you can write notes, you can make an outline, you can make a list of tell the story of this. It can be even a really what seems like insignificant story, and really the lesson you got out of it. So here's one from me. So working at Signal Electronics with my dad, with my brother, and a bunch of other people that felt like family that worked there. We had this instance, I don't remember what year it was, it's been so long ago, but where we were getting rid of the water cooler. The water cooler was something that I loved. That water cooler, first of all, the water was delicious. All right. And so it had the cold spout and the hot spout. So you could have really, really fucking cold water. It was better than iced water because you didn't have to deal with ice and it was already really cold. It was fantastic. Or the hot water where you could of course you could have tea or something, but I liked those little cup of noodle things, where you just put the hot water in. Okay. And so I'm sure y'all know what I'm talking about. And you could just put that in there and then keep it closed a little bit. And then all of a sudden your noodles are ready. Okay. So we had this at Signal Electronics for a long time, the water cooler. And I just loved it. It was such a fun perk of the office. And I know I'm like cheap thrills. Speaking of cheap though, it wasn't very expensive, but the point of the story is that my dad was deciding to get rid of it because he was cutting back on expenses because there was some sort of, reason that business was slower at the time. And I remember being but it only cost us fucking $30 a month or whatever it was. This is a while back. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't very much money. But he was still well, I got it, every little bit helps. I've got to do it. And I remember thinking, what in the fuck? Things can get so tight that, $30 a month? Like, what? And of course, I was younger and naive, and I understand now the effort he was trying to put forth to like get rid of multiple things so that there was a bigger savings than just the $30. But what that did is ever since then, it inspired me to really remember that moment and how it felt to take away that little simple pleasure at work. And I think about that whenever, business does go down for me, and I think about, budgeting and this and that, and like, try to never be in the situation where you got to get rid of the water cooler, Brittany. Really? I don't have a fucking water cooler, but I'm just saying it represents that for me. It represents that motivation of, you remember how that felt, that things were so tight that we couldn't even afford the fucking water cooler. Avoid that. Okay? Let's try to avoid that. Also, it helped me understand that people that work for you can be shown appreciation in the simplest ways. For me, that water cooler represented that. That was like this cool, neat thing that we had at no extra cost to us as employees. And it made my daily life a little bit better. And I always try to remember that as someone that now employs 5 people. What are just little things throughout the year that I can do or say or help with or whatever to just make their life a little better? It doesn't always have to be so extravagant for it to make a really big impact. So that water cooler story, it's like, I know, I really see deep into things, okay? But that's really what it ended up meaning for me. And so I've shared that on social media before, in so many words. And that story always gets a really good response, and I want you to take that as an example and just run with it. Any sort of stories you have as a small business owner, again, with your boundaries, your rules, maybe not mentioning clients' names in certain instances and all these things you need to protect, but telling the story. Why did you start? How did you get there? How's it going? And where do you go from here? Because the heart of a small business owner is something that should be shared with the world. I think that if more people could somehow understand that the way it feels to be a small business owner, that the world would be a better place. I really do. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that when you get more business as a smaller business owner, that sometimes that might mean that business owner's kids' Christmas just got better. Like, it actually makes an impact directly into these people's lives that own and that run and that work at that business. It's really, really powerful, and it's really, really special. And I hope that this talk helps you. I hope that you'll take that advice and you'll share more of your story as a small business owner. I know that I've just been re-inspired to share even more of mine, because it's an important thing to do. It makes a positive impact on the world. It helps other small business owners, and it honestly is going to benefit your business. People are going to want to work with you more so when they have learned more of your story. Bottom line. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I'll talk to you later.